Toss aside the touchy-feely notions of love in business and recognize the real power it holds. Welcome to the Love is Just Damn Good Business podcast with host Steve Farber. Drawing on his work with a wide variety of companies from the Fortune 100 to smaller family-owned businesses, Farber shares inspiring interviews with business leaders and proven strategies for how you can create experiences that your customers will love by developing a culture that your employees, teammates, and colleagues love working in. Discover why and how love, at the end of the day, is just damn good business for you too. Here's your host, Steve Farber.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Love is Just Damn Good Business podcast. I'm your host, Steve Farber. This podcast is brought to you by the Extreme Leadership Institute, and I made that happen all by myself, that sponsorship, because I am the president and co-founder of that company. So I've got an in. My guest today is my old friend, Janet Bray Attwood. Now, when I say my old friend, I mean she's my old friend. Not that she is an old and a friend, but she is my old friend. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Janet before we jump in. Janet Bray Attwood is the co-author of the New York Times bestseller, The Passion Test, The Effortless Path to Discovering Your Life Purpose, and also the book, and also is repetitive, the book, Your Hidden Riches, Unleashing the Power of Ritual to Create a Life of Meaning and Purpose. She's the co-founder of the Passion Test certification program and Mastery of Self-Love certification, which has over 4,000 certified facilitators in over 65 countries. And I, by the way, happen to be one of those 4,000 Passion Test certified facilitators. She's also the co-founder of the Passion Test for Business, the Passion Test for Kids and Teens, Enlightened Bestseller Program, Mastery of Self-Love, and the Passion Test Reclaim Your Power Program for the homeless. So you see the Passion Test theme running through all of this. Way back when, she actually was in a bit of the corporate world. This is where she comes from in some ways. She was the marketing director for what at the time was the third largest book buyer in the United States, a company called Books Are Fun. She managed the marketing department of over 40 marketers, and it was during her tenure that the company was sold to Reader's Digest for $360 million. So is that correlation or is that causation? We don't know. Anyway, Janet lives rather nomadic.
Causation? Are you kidding me? It was total causation.
I'll give you
without me.
$360 million for that person. So Janet lives. She lives all over the world. She's settled down, at least for the time being, in the metropolis, the bustling metropolis known as Fairfield, Iowa.
No, Janet, the beach town of.
What's that?
The beach town. The
beach town near the beautiful shores of Lake Keosauqua. Thanks for being on the podcast, Janet.
I love it. Thank you. I knew this would be fun today because being with you is always so fun because you're like the up guy.
Yes, we do have a good time together, and we were just talking before we hit record that we should do this whole interview in a voice like this. We should each do this.
I really don't think it's very professional, though. I mean, I do come from the corporate world, as they all know now.
So, in your introduction, you hear the Passion Test, the Passion Test, the Passion Test, the Passion Test. Now, this podcast, as you know, is called the Love is Just Damn Good Business podcast. So there's an obvious resonance between your body of work and mine. So tell us a little bit about the Passion Test, but even at a higher level, what do you mean? When you talk about passion, what does that mean to you, and what should it mean for us?
What do you think it means? You know what it means.
I'm not asking for my behalf.
I mean, what do you get out of bed for in the morning, right? Like, what do you care about? What do you love? What would light your fire? What turns you on? What is that thing that you would do even if you didn't get paid? I mean, what is it that you just, God, if I was doing that, I'd be like so fabulously happy. So that's, to me, that's what passion is all about, the thing that has greatest meaning and purpose to you. And I love, Stevie, to talk about the book, Success Built to Last, because it's so correlated with what both you and I do. In Success Built to Last, what the authors did, and you know Stuart Emery,
right,
and then Mark Thompson and Jerry Porras, they went and interviewed over 200 highly successful people. People that had known not just like 10 years, but 20, 30, 40 years of longstanding success. People like President Jimmy Carter and Michael Dell from Dell Computer and the great poet Maya Angelou and so many others. And what they found was that the one thing that these guys all had in common, and women, was that they were all choosing consistently in favor of that which gave them more meaning and purpose. They weren't making a money-based decision. They were making what we call a passion-based decision. And there you have it.
So you just equated passion with meaning and purpose.
Total meaning and purpose.
So if there's something that I'm doing that gives my life a deepened sense of meaning and a higher sense of purpose, that by definition is a passion of mine. Is that what you're saying?
Well, if it's something that you love, a lot of people entertain, they wear the cross on their back because they think they have to. And I wouldn't call that, just because it did have meaning and purpose. It might not be the one for you, because you also have to have passion behind that meaning and purpose. Otherwise, what do you have? You have guilt-ridden days, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. The word passion has come to mean something different for us in modern times. You used the metaphor of carrying the cross on your back. That I'm not a biblical scholar, but I do happen to know that the passion of the Christ refers to that, the suffering that he went through with carrying the cross and the crown of thorns and all of that. And in its original meaning, the word passion meant to suffer. In other words, it was something that we felt so strongly about that we were willing to suffer for it. And what it's come to mean, I'll speak for myself, what it's come to mean for me, it doesn't really have that connotation anymore, right? It's really about something that we love and lights us up and gives us energy. Now, I might feel really strongly about something that I'm willing to suffer for, or in some cases, in extreme cases, willing to die for. But that's a different kind of a passion than what we're.
That's more like a mission, right? I remember one time I was interviewing Robert Kiyosaki, and I said, "So what's your passion?" And he goes, "Passion. You have a passion. I have a mission. I have a mission. I saved people." That was a mission.
Yeah.
Passion.
Obviously a mission that he was passionate about.
Oh my God. I was like, I get it, Robert. But there, truly, just because you're living your passion doesn't mean that there aren't those times, though, when you're doing, I want to make something really clear. So here we go. That it doesn't mean that everything you're doing is like, yay, this gets me out of bed in the morning. Well, for instance, hey, New York Times bestselling author, moi. And was it fun to write the book? Would I have rather been doing other things? Oh, yeah. Many a time. There were many pencils thrown on that wall of mine in my bedroom, writing that book, wanting to instead be out in my pond swimming with my golden retrievers at the time. So, sometimes there is that, you have to get through that icky stuff, the littler stuff, to get to that higher meaning and purpose passion.
Right.
Right? Got it?
Yeah, it doesn't mean that 24 hours a day, everything that we do, we're just so in love with. The way that I like to frame that up, Janet, is there are things, all of us, there are things that we have to do that we don't love doing in order to do the things that we love. And the technical term for that is called being an adult.
I love that.
It's just the way it is. But if we can honestly step back and look at our lives and say, yeah, my life is characterized by doing the things that I'm passionate about, then we know we've gotten there. That doesn't mean that everything that we do, we're passionately in love with.
That's right. And if any of you are wondering if you're there or not, well, I'll tell you how you know if you're not there. Your life sucks. Honestly, you wake up every morning and you go, really? Really? There's got to be more to it than this. And what's so beautiful is that living your passion, and Steve, I'd like to hear your take on this too, even though you're interviewing me. But what I always tell people now is living your passion is not even personal. It's not personal. What is really living your passion? Living your passion is about getting really super quiet and starting to listen to that inner voice that's, always guiding us. And who is that inner voice, or what is that inner voice? I like to say it's higher power, nature, the universe, God. And when we align with that energy that is greater than ourselves, then what happens is we start to, and I love this quote by Maharishi, do less, accomplish more. See the job, do the job, and stay out of the misery. Why? Well, the misery is in doing things that you're not passionate about on a regular basis. What happens is the universe, being so efficient, starts to give us a little tap. Hey, yo, going wrong way. And then if we're not listening, so many people truly, what is it? What is the statistics right now? They're just like monstrous. Of the individuals, the 2.2 billion people in the world wake up every morning not happy, not fulfilled, and not passionate about what they do.
Right.
And so what that basically means is, to me, is they're not listening. And what nature is so efficient that nature, because each and every one of us are parcel of what nature calls a unified field, we've all gotten our marching orders. And that's what I call our passions as well. Your passions and your purpose here on this planet. And what I always say is your passions are like breadcrumbs that lead you onto the path of your destiny. They're not your destiny, but they're the clues to your destiny. And if we're not listening, then nature, because your passions are what your gift is here to give back, the give back for having the privilege of being able to breathe and live and be a human on this planet, that great privilege. If you're not listening, then what nature does, a little first tap, hey, yo, wrong way. And then the next thing hey, and then the next thing, kabam, right? And you're winding up, you're laying in bed in some hospital and you're going, wow, why am I doing this? Why do I do this to myself?
Yeah.
Having your inner time to think, why am I living this life that totally sucks? It's just awful, right? What do I really care about? What do I want to do? And so, and I like to make sure people get this, because the universe doesn't play tricks. And it's not a mistake that you love what you love. And that's why passion and living a passionate life, for me, it's such a passion, your passion. Everyone living a passionate life is my passion, helping them find that, because we don't exist in isolation. And when there's so many people on the planet that are waking up not happy, not fulfilled, I don't care if you're a happy camper, maybe if you're living on Mars, you're okay. But as long as you're here on this planet, you're affected by the fact that other people are not living that passion, not happy, not fulfilled. So it's actually very selfish on my part. I run all over the world helping people live a passionate life so that I can feel their bliss, because that feels good to me.
Yeah, I bet it does. So I'll give you
Wait, bet it does. What does that mean? Does it to you?
Yeah, of course.
No. I bet you wake up every day and go, you know what? I am, okay, where are the most depressed, sad people? I've got to go find them. I've got to go hang with them today.
Well, I don't seek them out, but given the fact that I spend most of my professional life working in the corporate world, in other words, I don't do public workshops where people, at least not most of what I do, public workshops where people are self-selecting. I'm being brought in to speak to a company or to an association or whatever it is. So you've got people in the audience that are miserable, and you've got people that are happy. And it's always a wonderful thing to see lights go on for people that have on some level given up and then realize that they don't need to. So that's where I get great joy from seeing those lights go on.
Oh,
and a lot of times it happens because, when I come along or when you come along and say, your passions are important, what you love is important, and you should act on that basis, it's a great relief to people because so many have been conditioned to believe that that's not the case. And even though internally they know it is. So when somebody like you or somebody like me comes along and says, no, that instinct that you have is right, you should act on that, it feels like a great burden has been lifted. But there is one thing I want to say about this, discovering passion, whether it's, is it an inner listening? Is it an outward kind of activity? I think it's both. And I think the mistake that a lot of people make is that if you ask most people, I'm going to guess, just ask them the question without helping them to answer. Just ask the question, what are your passions? What are you passionate about? Most people, or at least a lot of people, would say, I don't know. I would love to know. And they feel some kind of a deficit because they don't have the answer to that. And they feel, therefore, that something is wrong with them because it should be this thing that's just so clear. It should be obvious to me, but it's not. Well, if I'm in that situation and I just go inside, I take the reflective approach, and I just ask the question, what am I passionate about? I may get an answer. I may not. But that's the inner side of it. The outer side is I need to go find it, which means I need to try things, and I need to experiment, and I need to learn some new things, and I need to, and that way I'm going to get the signals that you were talking about, where, the universe, nature, or whatever you want to call it, comes along and says, no. Right? If I'm not listening for that, then it's going to delay my discovery. So I think it's kind of an inward reflection, outward experimentation, and asking the right questions, which is what the passion test does, right? I mean, it really sets up a process for people to consciously and intentionally try to discover what those passions are, or to uncover them, perhaps.
Well, I look at it, there's a formula to living a passionate life that we talk about in the passion test. And for those people that are ready and want to get clear, the first step is just, we say intention, attention, no tension, intention. The passion test, what it is, it's one exercise after the other, that gets you clear about what it is that you choose to create in your life, what it is that you love, what it is that you care about, so that you can be like those people in Success Built to Last. Intention, first step, is to get clear. And that's what the passion test does so fantastically, by just creating this one sentence: when my life is ideal, I am. And then thinking about all the different areas of your life that if you could have, be, or do anything. And I set it up like this for all my students when they're in my room. If everyone says yes to you, if all the doors are open, what would you just say, yeah, this is it. What are those things? And I say, think of the different areas of your life and then go from there. So what are the areas that are important, main areas? Health, relationships, career, spirituality, your fun, your environment, where are you living, your service, which is your give back, all of these different areas. And think about it like a little kid. A little kid wouldn't go, oh, no, wait, I can't do that, I'm too old. No, they don't censor themselves. They're open. They stay totally, in that I can do it place. And so put on your Mickey Mouse ears, and with that attitude like a little kid, then start to write down, when my life is ideal, I am, and just see what would it be in terms of your relationships. What would the best of that be in terms of your health? What would the best of that be that you can think of that would work for you? And, I think it's, if there's someone listening who's going, oh my God, that is such a crock because I can hardly get out of bed. This COVID virus thing is just, it's just ruined my life. And I've never been more depressed. I'd say to you what I said when I was in Miami some years back, giving the passion test to about 200 homeless women. And I said, okay, all right, let's take the passion test. And this one woman is sitting, she's of course, smack dab in the middle of the room. It was a big round table room, and there were about 200 women. And she goes, I don't know what I'm passionate about. I have not a clue. And I said, well, what would you never want to have happen again? What has happened to you that you would never want to have happen again? And she said, I never want to be homeless. And I said, okay, so what would the opposite of being homeless and living on the street be for you? And she said, I live in a beautiful home. And I said, yeah, honey, start from where you are. You be you. And one thing to remember, it's not about the how, it's the what. That's what we always say in the passion test. The what is, what do you care about? What do you love? What turns you on? Not, how am I going to get that house? How am I going to get this? How am I going to get that? That's not your job. That's nature, higher power, the universe, the unified field, whatever name you want to put to that energy, again, that's greater than yourself. But what happens when you start to get really clear on what it is that you choose to create in your life, then what you'll start to notice is that synchronicity, and Steve, I don't know why this happens. I'm not a scientist, but what I've seen over and over again is when I see my students put their attention on the things that have greatest meaning for them, magic starts to happen. I say it's magic because what happens is the next people, the places, the things start to show up to support them. But it makes total sense when I go back to that initial statement that I said in the very beginning of your podcast, that nature doesn't play tricks, and it's not a mistake that you love what you love. Of course, where you're going to get the most support of nature is by doing those things that really have greatest meaning for you. This is nature's guidance. This is nature trying to get you to say, okay, I'm in, and why most people don't do that are their limiting beliefs. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not whatever enough. I don't have what it takes. I just don't have it. And so what do? They do what, I love this phrase, Mark Victor Hansen from Chicken Soup coined. They stay in their JOB, which is they're just over broke. Instead of going for that thing. And the reason why they don't go for that thing is, oh my God, what if I fail in the thing that I care most about? Oh my God. Right? Yeah.
So I think there's, to me, I mean, maybe there is some, mystical aspect to getting clear on what you want and things start to happen. I'm not smart enough to confirm or deny it. But I think that a lot of it is actually not mystical too, in that if I'm really clear on what it is that I want, and I'm not worried so much about the how, but about the what. So this woman saying, I live in a beautiful home. First of all, you could tell, I mean, just me saying it on her behalf, I feel a difference. It affects the way my physiology is working, which then allows me to be more alive and awake. So that if I'm clear on what I want, I'm going to notice opportunities in my environment that I wouldn't have noticed otherwise.
Well, yeah, that's one thing. But the formula, back to the formula, okay, first step was intention. Mm-hmm. But the second step is attention. Most of us, and I was talking to a bunch of people the other day, and I said, how many of you have become experts in COVID virus? And a lot of them raised their hand. I said, yeah, look where you're putting all your attention. You're putting all your powerful attention. What you put your attention on grows stronger in your life. And so you're either creating the world you choose to create in any moment in time, or creating the world you don't choose to create by what you put your attention on. So if you're a samurai and you're like a clear guy, you're just like, you see it, you see what you want to, you see your passion and you go for it. You do what you need to do. You're not like thinking all these other lesser things that are distracting. But what do most people do? That's what they do. They distract themselves away from exactly what they choose to create in their life. So I think it's not mystical. it's really, all of us are very powerful. We're all powerful. It's just, where are you putting your powerful attention? That's why anyone who talks about passion at all will say that clarity is one of the most important aspects to living a passionate life. There's this great saying in the Vedas: curving back on myself, I create again and again. Curving, going within, back on myself, I create again and again. Getting so clear, if there's any mystical to it, it's an inside-out job. When you have that clarity within, what's so clear, this is my Monet, this is my beautiful painting of my life within, and I can see it so clearly. That's where the magic starts to happen. Now, the other thing is that putting the second step to the formula, intention, attention, it's not enough just to say, I'm a New York Times bestselling author. No, you got to take action, kids. It's not enough just to ohm it into existence. It won't ohm into existence. I promise you that. I know there are a lot of people that try to do things like that. But you got to take action, and what that means is you walk through the doors that are open, and you don't complain about the doors that don't open. Just go through the ones that do. And that's what it means when we say your passions are like breadcrumbs. We walk through those doors, breadcrumbs that lead you onto the path of your destiny. And then the last step of the formula, after you've taken massive action and done, you got to do it. You just got to go for it and done everything you know to do. So for that woman, that homeless woman, what would I have said for her to do? I would have said, okay, start planning. What kind of house do you want? Put your attention on that house. Where are the rooms? What are the colors? Where would you want it to be? And just keep your attention on that, and then start to notice. Remember, the universe doesn't play tricks. And that which you really have a real powerful feeling for, that's your inner guidance saying, yeah, I'm going for it. I'm going for it. And that'll take you really far. But then also taking massive action at the same time and walking through those doors that open, that's also the clues. That'll also take you. And then once you've done everything you know to do, then the last step of the formula is no tension. And no tension means, Stevie, have you ever wanted something so bad that even after you did everything you knew to do, everything, you're like, I got to do one more thing. I mean, man, my lesson is be patient, don't push, let go. So I'm the queen of that one. I want something, I'm like, and it can get overdone. And it's like you step on the hose and what happens?
Right.
The water, right? You suck the water out, just nope, ding. So the last step of the formula is to let go. And when in that letting go, that's the sweet spot. That's where the do less, accomplish more starts to really happen. Because
that's a big challenge. I think I'm going to assume that that's a big challenge for a lot of people.
Oh my God!
I know it is for me. It really is for me. It's the more it's almost a little bit ironic, right? The more that I want something, the harder it is to let go. And that's what I need. It's exactly what I need to do. So the thing that I need to do the most is the thing that's hardest to do.
Yeah, think of so many relationships you've had, right? Really? Okay. But yeah, it's all about trust.
Well, it's been a long time.
I know. It's got to be trust, though, doesn't it? It's got to be about trust.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that, in my work, it's so... What I'm trying to accomplish is so big. It's a global aspiration that is way beyond any individual's ability to do, right? So I have to constantly remind myself that, in order to make love a standard operating principle in business, I mean, that's a ginormous aspiration. I literally cannot do it. So then the question is, well, what can I do? And at what point therefore, between the, that gap between what can I do and the things that I absolutely cannot do, where do you figure out that where's the point to let go and where's the point to persist? That's the question that I'm always asking myself.
Well, and what do you come up with? What I come up with when I know I'm straining on the mantra, right? It's gotta be like, hey, this is no longer fun. This feels like I'm pushing, I'm forcing, right? And then that's where I see, and you also see, you get all the clues. The universe gives you clues. Nothing's working. Doors aren't opening.
Yeah.
Nothing's happening. That's why I always use the analogy of the hose, just stepping on your hose, because nothing can happen.
So how do you reconcile that with the classic? And this is the thing that always kind of pushes my button when I hear the classic motivational speaker types say things like this. They say, never, ever, 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 ever give up. Never give up. Never, ever, ever, ever. Now, I understand the sentiment behind that, but there are times where I'm pursuing the wrong how. And I have to let go of that. I have to give it up. But because I'm confusing that with the end result, which is really easy to do, and I hear that mantra going through my head, never, ever, ever give up, I feel like if I let go, then it's a failure. Every door is shutting in my face, but if I just open one more door, then I can walk through it. So how do I reconcile those experiences?
Because you're thinking that when you're letting go, that's giving up. You're just letting go. No one said it meant give up. Letting go is not giving up.
So
letting go.
What does letting go feel like? What does that look like? What does it feel like?
Free falling. Just, no effort. Just letting go, stopping. I mean, think about, there's we all have an inner GPS, right? Mm-hmm. And, here's a good analogy. The state contraction and the other state, right? Mm-hmm. So you're either expanded, or contracted, right? When you're contracted, do you think that's the time to take action and just go for it and communicate all of your loves and wants and desires? Yes or no?
Well, I don't know that I'd be able to. Whether I want.
When you're expanded, that's the time to take action, right? Yeah. When you're like in a yes. Okay, so when the sun goes up or the sun goes down, when the sun is up, would you say that's contracted or expanded?
That would be expanded.
Okay, when the sun goes down, that would be what? More.
I guess if we're playing with that metaphor, it would be contracted.
Right. Which is better? Which is more valuable?
It depends on what you're trying to do. They're both equally valuable.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And so is the letting go. It's equally valuable than taking action. It's just a state. It's just nature's way, nature's guidance. And all that means is when it's a time to let go, that's a time where you're usually in a more contracted state. We talk about that state as a time for me time. That's a time for me to do whatever I want to do that brings me joy. Maybe it's walking in nature, doing a meditation, listening to great music, playing music, whatever brings me great joy. And what I notice then is that as I do those things in the me time, I start to open again. So this is a principle, this letting go is really part of the whole, it's not giving up. It's just part of the inner GPS, being highly, highly attuned to, right now I'm getting a message to just be on the self, because if I do that, and when I do that, then more is going to, it'll show itself to me. And this is life, isn't it? This is really the flow of life. How do you flow in life? Most people think that contraction, when you're contracted, when you're angry, when you're depressed, when you're sad, that's a bad thing. And when you're happy and you're joyful and you're loving, that's a good thing. But truly, when you're angry and you're sad and you're depressed, it's just, it's not any better when you're really awake. You just realize it's a different state. So what do you do with that? Well, you give, and I love Byron Katie's quote, as long as life is a dream, it may as well be a happy one. So what do? You give yourself some me time. You give yourself time to be with you. You do what you love. And next thing you know, oh my God, I just fed myself self-love, my favorite topic. And there you go, back again, out into the world, living your passion. So does anything ever really stop? Right. Or do you ever give up? Do you ever give up? I don't think, Stevie, I have that word in my vocabulary.
I don't think so either. So I want to build on this self-love, because I know that's a big passion of yours, and you've done a lot of work in helping people to discover that for themselves. This whole mantra that we use around these parts is do what you love in the service of people who love what you do, and this idea of cultivating love being at the core of extreme leadership, etc. At the core of the core is self-love, right? It's if I don't have that love directed towards myself, everything else becomes a lot more difficult. Not impossible, but difficult. And in the business world, where again I spend most of my time, that's a subject we don't talk about very much. You won't see me on a stage, taking people through a process to fall in love with themselves. And maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, but typically that's not the kind of conversation that we have. But it is really important. So what words of guidance do you have for us who need to cultivate that in ourselves?
Well, what I always say is, as I'm sure you do, our nature is love. And we came in as love. I mean, think about that. We, just like, yeah, hoo-hoo. And then what happened? Life tested us, life came, and we had certain things happen. Maybe you had parents who said, hey, really, no, your big brother could do that, but you'll never be able to do that. Okay, and so what happened? A veil, protection, right? Start to protect my heart. And then what happened? Maybe you were sexually abused, right? And then big veil of protection. And then maybe you got in a car accident, big veil of protection. Or maybe someone you loved that was close to you that you just, oh my God, died, and another veil. And so what happened is our nature is still love, all of us. And I always say everyone on this planet is doing the very best they can do. How do you know? Well, that's the best they can do. How do you know? Well, that's what they're doing. So everyone's nature, let's think about this. My nature is love. Then why aren't I love? Because what we've done, as I just said, we start to layer and protect and protect and protect. And what you find, though, unfortunately, that worked for a while. But now, all of a sudden, you realize, oh my God, how come I can't feel? How come I'm not connecting? How come I'm having these icky moments with all my relationships? How come I feel so disconnected from the other? How do I get to that place where I feel no separation? And so that's my work. That's what I'm working with people on. And the first thing I say is that self-love, people think self-love is about, okay, I'm going to make a list of all the areas that I'm imperfect, and I'm going to strive to be perfect in those areas, and then I can really love myself. And I'm here to say that is the biggest bunch of boo. Yeah, don't even listen to anybody who says stuff like that. Basically, what self-love is acceptance of who I am being right now in this moment. Who I am being right now in this moment. I can't bring to the table any more than what I'm bringing right now. Impossible. So how insane would it be for me to think that I should be more than what I am? because if I do, I'll never be able to be that. And so therefore I'm back in the same mess that I was in. So the first one is acceptance of where I am right now. And if everyone listening, if you could just think about it, is there really any a time where you're not absolutely doing the very best you can? It doesn't mean, you won't mess up or slip up or say the wrong thing. But was that your very best in that moment? It always has to be. It doesn't work any other way. So the first practice, and it's a hard one for people, is here we go. Here you go. Here is Self-Love 101, Stevie. Be kind to you. Be kind to you, because as you treat you, you treat everyone. As you treat you, you treat everyone. And here's the what you wouldn't probably say on your business stage, but I say, hey, brother, come on, say it, is that there's no one out there. And when I say that, think about this. Nature is so profound. Nature is so efficient that nature created the other. And when we can stand in the fire of our own discomfort, when we do something that we think, whoa, that didn't feel good, what we'll always find, what we'll always notice is whatever we're judging about someone else is what we're judging about ourselves. So the only person you really have to worry about or pay attention to is the amount of love that you can give yourself. Because if you just start to give, and that's why I talk about passion too. Passion is one of my practices that I give people living a passionate life, the passion test, to be able to give themselves more love. Because saying, hey, yo, this is what I stand for, this is what matters most to me, that's a great self-love proclamation, because it takes great courage to, in spite of what your mother or your father or the rest of the universe thinks, you're going for what you feel is best for you in this moment, the thing that you love the most. And that's a great self-love statement. So I'm going to have you do this little exercise, and I love it. I want you to think about, Steve E. I want you to write down, I want you to think about someone you really love. And everybody on this call, I want you to think about someone you really, really love, because it's such a cool exercise. And Stevie, I want you to just write one word. What is one word, one quality that person has? Like beautiful or sweet or patient, all those things, right? Kind, generous, okay? So that person you love, you just love, they're your go-to person when you really need them, okay? Now, that same go-to person, notice every once in a while, wow, when they are off in your mind, okay, I want you to think about what is the opposite that you feel about them. 5 things, right? What can they do that is really irritating, right? Maybe they just, they're stubborn, or they can be mean sometimes, or they can be, nagging. What are they? Okay, you got your 5? And everybody else, write down your 5. 5 you love. 5 that, wow, when they do that thing, you just want, okay? Got it? Okay, so give me the 5 of that person that, those 5 lovey things. What are they?
I'm still working on number 5.
So 4 is okay.
I got it. Worries. Limited.
No, I want the 5 things you love about that person first. What are they?
Loving, gracious, accepting.
Go ahead.
Funny, generous.
Thank you. And what are the 5? What are the other 5?
Worries, limited thinking, judgy, critical, impatient.
Okay, now say Steve is, and read the 5 you love.
Steve is loving, gracious, accepting, funny, and generous. I couldn't read my writing.
and isn't that true?
Yes, that is true.
Okay, read the other 5.
Steve worries, has limited thinking, is judgy, critical, and impatient.
Sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah.
There's no one out there. There's no one out there. See, whoever is that person in that moment that you're, blaming or shaming, that's because those are aspects of yourself. The universe is so efficient. It's just nature just blows my mind that nature set up the other for us to be able to see ourselves. Why? So that we can start to turn, all love is directed to the self, is so that we can start to see ourselves in others and start to accept that as well. Because when you look at those things, now I bet there's big judgments about, hey, half the people when I do this exercise can't read the other 5, like they're like fast to read the 5 they love, but the other 5, they go right into shame. But like, think about it. Really? So what is the first one on the 5 on the the dark side of the sheet of paper? Worry. Yeah. Sometimes you do, right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, sometimes you do.
And I worry about that.
Yeah, sometimes, right?
I worry about the fact that I worry sometimes.
Okay, and can it just be okay sometimes that you worry?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, what's the other thing?
Limited thinking.
Yeah, do you ever see that you have limited thinking sometimes?
Mm-hmm.
But can you, just in this moment, can it be okay that sometimes you're thinking?
Yep.
This is what I'm talking about, acceptance. But what do we do, right? What do we do is we project what we're not accepting about ourselves onto the other. Hmm. And so, the first 3 months.
That's the only work that we can really have a direct impact on, right? Is the work that we direct.
Well, that's the whole point. That is the whole point. I mean, truly, all love is directed to the self. So therefore, the only work we have to do is our own inner work. And the rest of it just takes care of itself. So if you want to know how you're doing, just hang out with a bunch of people and just notice what's going on in your mind and start being really, really conscious.
So if you really want to do a deep dive in this and really challenge yourself, hang out with people that really piss you off and use that as a way to, as self-reflection, right?
Well, actually, truly, when you get to the point, think about it. Think about it. When you're having a bad day, it doesn't even matter if it's the best person. But when you're having a good day, even that person that just makes you crazy isn't so bad, right?
Yes.
Why is it? Because it's all about you. It's all about you. It's all about you.
So this is a really compelling idea, particularly, it always is, but particularly in light of the current environment.
Oh my God.
We're so polarized. We anger each other so frequently, in the political spectrum and every societal problems and COVID and everything has made us so critical of others. And I am no exception to that.
Well, you can't be, because you're the one who's bringing it up.
Yeah. I find myself, part of the list, limited thinking, judgy, critical, impatient. Oh my gosh. I feel that, I don't know how many times a day, just by watching the news. And the challenge to turn that around on myself.
That's it.
Is really I can see how powerful of an exercise that is. Just looking at it as an exercise.
It is an exercise. It's a real uncomfortable sometimes exercise. And that's why I called it standing in the fire of your own discomfort.
Yeah.
Standing in the fire of your own discomfort is taking responsibility for what you see. Everything I see is me. If everything I see is me and I'm not loving something, then curving it back on the self, where am I not being accepting of that in myself? Now, what most people do, though, is they project it outward. That's why there's so much separation in the world. It's too painful. It's way too painful to have to deal with it. It's too painful. And the thing is that what people don't remember, because it's only remembering. We all know this. Love is, we've all been through this love thing. And we know it in our DNA, but we've forgotten. So all I do is just remind people that, remember, your nature is love. So therefore, anything unlike love, that's your work with, not the other, with you. That's your work with you on what? On self-acceptance. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean you keep going around abusing other people. But what it does mean is that when you become more conscious of the pain that's going on. And so what most people do is, instead of feeling the pain is just a feeling asking to be felt. Instead of allowing that to be, putting your attention on that which is going on inside of you, what do? We lash it out. We want to strike back. We want to make other people wrong. And so this is a really big time in the world right now. And that's why your topic right now is it's the hot topic. And my prayer is that you'll not separate the business world from the personal world to the professional world. And, think about how we talk about, it's the business world, couldn't say that on that stage. No, they're dying for that to be said on, all of this should be said on every stage in the world, because it is our nature. And so therefore, there is not any stage that it doesn't belong any longer. And it's a critical time. It's a very critical time that the universe is just showing us by what we see going on, by the fires that are happening, by the environment, the ice caps melting at record rate, right? So many calamities in the world. This is nature's way of saying, hey, kids, COVID virus, go back to your room. I want you to go get to your room, and I want you to think about how you're projecting outward and come back to your nature and start being kind to you, because as you treat everyone.
Well, Janet, you've done such great work over the years and even decades now with your processes and your programs and the community that you built around the Passion Test. And you never stop. You never stop moving. And you have a new thing that you're launching right now. Tell us a little bit about that.
I love that. It's my mastery of self-love, and it's just this is mastery of self-love. But it's my mastery of self-love. It's a 7-session program where I'm taking people through a deep dive, 3 hours, one time a week, and using different processes and tools and different techniques that
you're doing that live?
Yeah, live. It's with me, and it's a live Zoom program, and it's really powerful. So if you're someone that feels like, oh yeah, I could love myself a bit more. Think about it. To the degree that you love yourself, you're an attraction magnet. And that actually affects your success. So it's really super important for all of us right now. And to the degree that you love yourself, it affects your relationships. All your relationships are affected by how you feel about you. So if you just need an upgrade, this course would be fantastic. But if you're someone that has felt like, God, I don't know who I am, and I don't even know where to start, well, I say this is Self-Love 101, and I will take you through this 7-step program to that place where you'll feel like, okay, I got it. I got it. And I want you to know that it's a lifelong program. It's a lifelong practice, self-love. But you'll have the tools that you need and the different practices that hundreds and thousands of people have said to me, this is good stuff, Janet. Thank you. And I finally know who I am. I just did a course not about 2 months ago. And I had one woman who had been using psychotherapy and psychology and gone to a psychiatrist, had been sexually abused and physically abused for over 21 years. And she said, I can't believe it. I can't believe I took this course. And this course, finally, not only do I wake up finally happy, but I couldn't even drive because my feet have been in such physical pain. And I don't know why, but now I have no more pain. And then I had a 16-year-old, and she said to me afterwards, she said, okay, I'm never going to be bullied again. I got it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So we'll put the link to that in the show notes so everybody can find it. And other than that, is there a place to go for people to stay in touch with you? And
yeah, thank you. You are such a sweetheart. www.thepassiontest.com, and there you can find out any of my courses, or if you need anything, coaching, whatever, you can find it. And and Stevie plays with me as well. So love to.
We're gonna look at doing some cool things together here in the near future.
Oh, and big. So look for that, because it's going to be big, because we're big people. During COVID, getting bigger. No.
I love that about myself.
Love.
About myself.
I just love my extra little cheek. Okay.
I pinch my own cheek. Well, this has been.
Give them anyway. Don't start. Okay.
This has been so much fun. Thank you, my dear. Yeah. And thank you all for tuning in to this episode of the Love is Just Damn Good Business podcast. And until next time, do what you love in the service of people who love what you do. See you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Love is Just Damn Good Business with Steve Farber. Join us again next time, because when customer and employee satisfaction just isn't enough anymore, we are here to back you up with specific ideas to operationalize love to make an enormous difference in your business, personal life, and the world around you. Visit our website at stevefarber.com to leave a review. And don't forget to share the love with your colleagues and friends, because after all, it's just damn good business.